Let's go to our Stripe dashboard and click on developer, then webhooks. And here, let's click on add endpoint. Our webhook endpoint is going to be Netlify function, and it's called handle subscription. Now you want to select which event you want to send to our Netlify function. Let's click on select event and let's look for subscription update. If we scroll down, you can see here customer.subscription.updated, and let's click on add endpoint. Next, let's click to reveal the secret, and let's copy the secret and add it as an environment variable in our Netlify project. So we go to deploys, deploy settings, environment, and here I will add a new environment variable. Let's call it Stripe Webhook secret, and I'm going to paste it and hit save. Going back to our project, let's go to functions and create a new file, and let's call it handle subscription. And as usual, we will set up Stripe and require node, and we can get that from one of our previous webhooks. Now let's create a dictionary that will map the product ID to a user role. So let's call it product to roles, and let's go to our Stripe dashboard. Let's go to products, and here you can see all the products. So let's pick first premium, and we can pick the product ID from here, or we can copy it from here. Let's scale this a bit down. And first one, this will be mapping to premium. Then we'll go back to products and go to basic and add the basic ID here. And this is gonna be basic. And lastly, we wanna add the free one. And obviously this is one way to do it. You could also store these elements in the database and then pull them whenever you're trying to set the user role. But for simplicity's sake, we will have a simple dictionary. Let's export our handler. This is gonna be an async function, and we will extract the body and headers, and we will also get the context. First thing, in a Stripe webhook, you need to sign the request to prevent from spoofing, because if someone finds out about this endpoint, they can send any data they want and you will be updating the plans. So to do that, we're going to use the Stripe SDK to sign the body of our webhook. Here we'll have a try catch. And first thing, we need to construct a Stripe event. And this is part of the stripe.webhooks.construct event. The event will need the body, and the body here needs to be a string, and you shouldn't do any modification to it because that's also important, the order of the keys or anything else. And along that request, we will also receive the header with the Stripe signature. So here we will extract that Stripe signature. And lastly, we want to pass in our webhook secret, and this we will get from the environment variable. Once the event is constructed, we want to check which type we're receiving, because we could be receiving multiple events and we don't want to handle them. So for this case, we will check if the event type is customer.subscription.update. We will update the user role, otherwise we'll ignore the rest. All right, let's get first our subscription object. And this is gonna be inside of the data.object of the event. Now we need the Stripe customer ID so we can map it to our user in the database. And this is inside of the subscription.customer. Another thing we need is the actual product ID. So the webhook will send us which new product ID the user switched to. So let's get the product ID. And this is going to be inside of the items.data array. And here we'll add plan, and then also we need to get the product. So now let's also construct the new role. And this one is going to be our dictionary. So product to roles, and we will pass in the product ID. Now we're gonna request some data from Hazura. We will send the Stripe customer ID and we get the Netlify ID. And we already did something similar inside of the get portal URL in here. So we might as well copy this and let's paste it here. And let's take the Stripe customer ID and change it here, here, and here, and also here. And instead of user sub, we will pass in the customer Stripe ID. And since it's already declared here, we can just specify the key. And instead of by Netlify ID, we can name our query to by Stripe ID. All right, so once we get the user ID, that's extracted, and we'll call it the Netlify ID. And this is gonna be part of the result.data.user of one. So the first occurrence and .user ID. And then let's also extract the identity from the client context, which is passed to us using Netlify. So here we'll get the identity from the context.client context. And bear in mind, this will be null if you are testing the function locally. And I think it's probably due to security reasons, because this will pass you the identity with the admin token. So it's pretty dangerous. All right. So now let's change the app metadata using the admin token. Here we'll have a response and we will await fetch. And the URL is going to be identity.url and then admin/users/the Netlify ID. The method is going to be put, and we're going to send the authorization header. And this is going to be a bearer, and we will pass in the identity.token. And lastly, we will send the body with the new data. Let's make sure it's a JSON stringify. And here we'll have app_metadata. And we will change the role, because if you remember before, we have the identity sign up and we were setting the role to free. Now you'll update it using the admin token. Once that's done, let's maybe console log the response. And here we want to inform the Stripe Webhook handler that we received the webhook. So let's return it to 100 and maybe a body with received true. All right, now let's handle our error. Let's maybe console log that we got a Stripe Webhook error and also return a 400. And for the body, we can mention that we got a webhook error. Let's save. One other thing, after the app metadata is changed, we need to force our token on the client app to refresh. So to do that, let's change some stuff inside of the identity context. Let's listen on the Netlify identity init. We will receive the user in here. And let's check if we have already a user. We want to call the user.jwt and we'll pass in true. This is to force the refresh. Then we will get the token. Here we will divide the token into parts. Then we can get the current user from that token using JSON parts and then atob and give it the parts 1. So this means that we give it the second part of the token. And here let's set the user to the fresh user. Let's call set user. And then here I will spread the old user and then get app_metadata and spread the current user app metadata. Okay, let's push this code to Netlify. All right, after pushing the code and deploying our handle subscription webhook, let's go to manage subscription and click update plan. And I'm gonna pick the premium plan. And then here hit confirm. And when we go back to real world Jamstack, you can see here the plan is updated. So even our token is refreshing correctly.